This has been said before in these pages, but it has not been said with the specific focus it deserves, because it is the thing that, once genuinely understood, changes the entire orientation toward what connection with an avoidant requires and what connection with any person who has a secure and developed sense of themselves requires. The truth is not specific to avoidance. The avoidant simply makes the truth more visible because the management system that the avoidant runs is specifically designed to prevent the ordinary substitutes from working. With most people, the doing is sufficient. The effort and the gestures and the accommodation and the continuous, generous extension of yourself in the direction of another person's needs produces the felt sense of connection that genuine connection is supposed to produce. The doing works because the receiving person's system is permeable to the doing in a way that converts the doing into the experience of being cared for. The avoidance system is not permeable to the doing in this way. The management intercepts the doing and converts it into the assessment of intimacy pressure rather than the experience of care. The more doing there is, the more evident the effort, the more visible the investment, the more organized the behavior around the avoidance response, the more pressure the management is assessing, the more the management protocol is running, the more the distance the management was built to create is being generated. The doing does not accumulate into connection with the avoidant. It accumulates into the management's evidence that management is required. The one thing the avoidant values is the same thing that was named in the earlier piece on this topic, but the naming here goes deeper. It is not simply self-possession or wholeness or groundedness, though those are all accurate descriptions of its outer qualities. At its deepest level, the one thing the avoidant values is genuine interiority, the specific, irreducible, undeniable quality of someone who has an actual, inhabited, fully alive interior life that exists independently of the avoidant's engagement with it. Not a presented interior, not the strategic disclosure of interesting or vulnerable content designed to create the impression of depth. The actual interior, the one that is present when no one is watching, that has opinions before they are shared, that has responses before they are expressed, that has a relationship with itself that does not require external validation to be real. Genuine interiority is rare. This sounds like it should not be true. Every person has an interior, every person has feelings and thoughts and reactions and a relationship with their own experience. But genuine interiority, in the specific sense that the avoidance monitoring system is assessing for, is not simply the having of an interior, it is the inhabiting of it. The specific daily moment-to-moment quality of someone who is actually in their own experience, rather than in the monitoring of how their experience is being received by others. The majority of people, in social contexts, and particularly in relational contexts where significant investment is present, are not fully in their own experience. They are partly in their experience and partly in the monitoring of the experience's reception, checking, with varying degrees of consciousness, how what they are feeling and saying and doing is landing, adjusting. The adjustment is not dishonest. It is the ordinary, socially functional quality of someone who cares about the effect of their presence on others. But it is, even in its most ordinary and benign form, the partial absence from the genuine interior that genuine interiority does not have. The avoidance monitoring system reads the partial absence, not as a moral failing, as a specific quality of the other person's presence. The presence that is partly monitoring its own reception has a different texture from the presence that is fully in itself. The monitoring of the reception is a form of orientation toward the avoidant, a form of directing the self toward the avoidance response, and the monitoring system reads it as such, as intimacy pressure, as the specific directed quality of someone whose interior is partly organized around the avoidance reception of it. The person with genuine interiority is not monitoring the avoidance reception. They are in their own experience, fully, with the specific constitutionally different quality of someone who is genuinely elsewhere, in their own life, their own thoughts, their own responses to things, who happens also to be present in the interaction with the avoidant. The two coexist without the second diminishing the first. The engagement with the avoidant does not require the partial withdrawal from the genuine interior because the genuine interior is stable enough and inhabited enough to engage from rather than retreat from in order to engage. The monitoring system, encountering this quality, produces a reading that it has not produced for most people the avoidant has been in connection with. The reading is, this person is not oriented toward me in the way I am calibrated to manage against. Not because they do not care. The caring may be present and may be significant. But the caring does not arrive as an orientation toward the avoidance reception of the caring. It arrives as an expression of the genuine interior, a natural overflow of a person who has enough genuine interior to overflow toward others without the overflow requiring the other's response to validate it. The management protocol receiving this reading does not activate in the same way. The intimacy pressure assessment produces a lower reading. The distance calibration response is less urgent. And in the reduced urgency of the management's deployment, something becomes available in the avoidance engagement with this person that is not available in most engagements. The actual interior. The avoidant's own genuine interior, no longer fully occupied by the management's deployment, is available to actually experience the person in front of them rather than to manage the experience. And the experiencing, the actual, full, management not consuming all available resources experiencing of someone who has genuine interiority, produces in the avoidant something their relational history has rarely produced. The specific, genuine, what is this quality of encountering something real? What genuine interiority looks like in practice is not the performance of the qualities associated with it: groundedness, self-possession, independence. Those qualities, when performed, carry exactly the monitoring system signal that genuine interiority does not carry. The performance is organized around the avoidance reception of the performance. The monitoring system reads the organization. Genuine interiority looks like someone who is late to respond to something in the interaction because they were genuinely thinking about something else, not performing distraction, actually attending to the genuine interior content of their own experience and bringing the full quality of their attention back to the interaction when the interior content was adequately honored. It looks like someone who disagrees with something the avoidant says, not because they calculated that disagreement demonstrates independence, but because their genuine interior produces a different response to the thing the avoidant said, and the genuine response is expressed naturally without the prior calculation of its reception. It looks like someone who laughs at something that is genuinely funny to them and does not laugh at something that is not, regardless of the social dynamics that make laughter in certain moments the easier response. The laughter is the interior's genuine response to the content, not the social performance of shared amusement. It looks like someone whose engagement with the avoidant has the specific, naturally variable quality of genuine engagement, more present in some moments, less in others, with the variability determined by the genuine interior's engagement with the content of the interaction, rather than by the social monitoring of the avoidance temperature and the corresponding adjustment of the self-presentation. These are not things that can be performed into existence. They are the natural expression of a person who is genuinely, habitually, constitutionally in their own interior in the way that genuine interiority requires. They can only be developed through the genuine internal work of arriving at a stable, inhabited, self-sufficient relationship with one's own experience. The work that the pieces on healing and on the genuine lived life have been describing. The doing will not produce the connection with the avoidant that you are reaching for through the doing. Not because the doing is wrong as an expression of caring, because the doing is directed toward the avoidance reception of it, and the direction is what the management system reads and manages against. The being, the genuine, interior, fully inhabited, not performing anything being of someone who has a real relationship with their own experience, does not require the avoidance reception to be what it is. And the not requiring is the specific quality that the management system has no protocol for managing against. The avoidant values this one thing not because they calculated that it is what they value, because their monitoring system, which was installed before they had the language to examine it and has been running since, has been assessing every relational input for the specific signal that this one thing produces, the signal of genuine interiority. And when the signal arrives, when the monitoring system processes the input and produces the reading that a genuine interior is present that is not oriented toward the avoidance management of it, the response is not the management protocol. It is something older than the management protocol, something that was present in the avoidant before the management was installed. The simple, genuine, foundationally human response to encountering something real, recognition, and the draw toward it that recognition always, in every person regardless of their attachment history, produces.